Hello and welcome to another edition of the Yellow Jacket Experience. Our Hall of Fame season continues with a man who has more titles than Tom Brady has rings. Detective Lieutenant, U.S. Marshal, Dr. John Gibbons joining me today. Mr. Gibbons, how are we doing today?
I'm doing well.
Good. So let's start with your football career here at AIC, and let's start with how you got to AIC. You're from New Jersey. So how did you end up here in Springfield at AIC?
I was recruited from Newark, New Jersey, Malcolm X Shabazz High School in Newark on the south side of Newark, New Jersey. And Coach Johanna Meyer, Coach Burke, Coach Pepple recruited me, and they told me to come on up to Springfield, Massachusetts, visit the school. And so I did. And of course, I fell in love with the school, the program. They had ran the wing T offense. And of course, it was more, the wing T was more, I'll say, it was more sophisticated than what we were running in high school. Mm-hmm. But because I was a versatile running back and a good blocker, had speed, and went both ways and had some fundamentals, I was able to fit in. So they brought me up here.
And fundamentals. Bob Burke called you the best blocking back AIC ever had. Football is obviously physically tough, no matter what position you're playing, but especially being a blocking back like you were for a lot of your time at AIC. What went into preparing to play that style of football at that position, and kind of what did you take specifically from doing that on the field?
Well, what I took from it is, you just gotta, like you said, basic fundamentals. Stick with the basic fundamentals, build on them fundamentals, and work hard. That's all. Work hard, and it pays off. And the program down in Newark at that time, we were the Bulldogs, and we were a tough, grinded out football team. And, I started as a guard. And matter of fact, in the offense down there, and my first 2 years, and then the coach said, hey, after I ran the 100-yard dash and, broke under 10, he's like, I need to put this kid in the backfield. And, of course, once I got to AIC, I knew I was going to start right away, but I got there, and I also was able to get a lot of reps in, and it just builds toughness. That's all, which is toughness that goes on every day in our lives. So,
and it worked out for you in 1977. You're the team's leading rusher, the team's leading scorer. You got the President's Cup at the end of the year, which is obviously the highest honor from the athletic department. What made that season so special for you, and what did it mean to be recognized that way, getting the President's Cup?
Well, it was special to me, just leadership, and then also just getting prepared for real life. And at that time, I was the starter at running back at the left half, which I was the consistent and consistency, building consistency. And so just being a leader on that offense. And at that time, I worked along with, I had, of course, I opened the way. Like you said, I was a very versatile running back.
Yeah.
So I could, if I'm not going to run the ball, I'm going to hit you. I started the season out that year, my senior year. The first play of the game was a 63-yard touchdown, 640, right up the gut and right up the middle, and untouched. And of course, I stepped to the left and went down the sideline. And then I finished the season with I went out on a good note, 143 yards. I think it was 22 carries, 143 yards, and a touchdown. I remember President Cordiota said, "Well, what a way to go out in your career." So it just it was good, and it also this helped me through life. This stepping up to the plate, stepping out front, and being a leader.
What is your favorite memory from being part of the football team at AIC?
The favorite memories was when I got here and throughout the 4 years. Of course, I'll say my favorite memory is my wife.
That's a good answer.
She was a cheerleader, Shelby, and I met her, and I met some good friends. I was in the backfield with some good Greg Davis. I was with Terry Randolph, who's in the Hall of Fame, AIC Hall of Fame. I know I sponsored him. I sponsored Greg as well. Kenny Little, the linebacker, and also learning from Jim Reedy. Jim Reedy was a gutsy leader. He's the one that gave me the name The Juice my freshman year, because we were at a scrimmage, and I broke a 60-yard long run. And then they eventually scored, a touchdown at the end, but towards the scrimmage. But it was just, it was hot that day. I remember that day running that. But Jim, with those guys, Jagiello, Kevin Farrell, Ray Borp, who I came up with from New Jersey. So it's just in the line. The Thomas Fitzgerald and like I said, Gary Wright at tight end, and a lot of other guys. And these relationships were is still and going against the defense. But one thing, I was not a freshman. I was a freshman who was not scared to hit the seniors or the juniors on defense. So we prepared the 75 team. Harold Anderson, myself, Borb, those guys, we all prepared. We were the second team in 75 that of offense that prepared that 1970, the 75 first squad, to take us all the way. But our practices were tough. They were tough.
You bring up that 75 team that you were a part of, and it was called and still arguably is the greatest team that AIC has ever had on the football field. What made that group in particular so special?
Well, we all bonded together, and I think that team was part of the team of 74, my freshman year, because we rolled in. We went on an 11-game roll. We ended up that season 3 games winning in a row, and then another 8 after that, straight into the next season. And we were on a roll. We were together. We had a lot of harmony. I brought a lot of harmony on that bus as a freshman and a sophomore, and then also having those. We decided to have some Friday or the day before the game, have like in front of the cafeteria at that time we called it, or chow. Well, I won't say chow hall. That's something different.
Oh boy.
But we used to hold some. I would call it pep rallies.
Right.
Yeah, and of course I initiated that pep rallies and got it going, and so that was good, and we carried that out throughout when I was there, just having those rallies and trying to get ready for the game, get the spirit going. So we got the footballs and the AIC spirit going on, and I also try to maintain that at the basketball games. so
You had NFL tryouts. You were obviously a very good football player to get even to that level, with the Browns, with the Patriots. What were those experiences like, playing with and against guys at that level?
Well, with the Browns, I was invited, but because of some situations, I wasn't able to show. Because of job and the education situation. I was in my grad degree and working at the Hampton County Jail. But with New England, it was, although it was a short go, it was interesting to talk, run on the field of Schaefer Stadium. Just out there, trying to make it at a tryout camp. And meeting some of the bigger schools, guys from the bigger schools. And, it's just that, hey, they're coming from those bigger schools. And, also you might have some guys that were bigger in size, but I had a lot of experience.
And certainly, for somebody from a small school like AIC, for NFL teams to take notice, obviously you were doing something right.
Yes.
So let's switch gears a little bit here and talk about the academic side of things. Your family obviously has a long history of being involved in the justice system. Your father is a detective, other family members in law enforcement who are lawyers, things of that nature. Was there ever any doubt that was the path you were going to follow, or was there anything else that you thought about, hey, maybe I might want to do this instead?
Well, I always was good in math. We were very good in my siblings were good in math and sciences. So I, as you notice, even when I was in high school, I was in an accelerated program down at Malcolm X Shabazz High School.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to school at Newark College Engineering. So I was looking at civil engineering or electrical engineering, but Newark College Engineering had club football. And, I was being looked at by several Division I schools, 2 and 1 AA's, and 3 down there. But I decided to come to AIC, and then also, of course, so I came up here with 18 solid credits in math and science from Newark College Engineering, my senior year of high school. And so I was, but with my father being a Newark detective, and then later on Essex County prosecutors, he was a detective captain, Essex County prosecutor's office, and on some task forces with the FBI and other things. And then I met a state trooper from the first Black state trooper from New Jersey that came to my high school. I think it was my freshman year in high school. And I was very interested in law and criminal law. So when I came to AIC, I took pre-law political science. And that program, that's what my undergrad degree is in. But during my junior year at AIC initiated the criminal justice program. I remember Detective Mickey Fenn from Springfield PD, and I can't think of the other woman that was running the program. I think also Ed Brennan ran the grad program. And Ed, so I started taking some courses in undergrad criminal justice, and at some point I ended up of course I liked the courses. So I mean, with social what was it, and the criminal justice and social work, it was good to just take those courses and prepare myself for maybe just being versatile in the area of law. I did take the LSATs, and I also had an opportunity, because I graduated early, December 77, to continue on and work at AIC. I was a dorm director. And over at Broadhurst, director of the dorm at Broadhurst. So I was able to continue and pay for school through grad school, and also try to prepare myself maybe for an NFL shot. And then I ended up getting a part-time job at the jail. I went down for a co-op or practicum. At that time we called them practicums. Mm. And at that time I ended up working down at the jail, Hamden County Sheriff's Department. And then unfortunately a position came open. I was a correctional counselor, part-time, and a full-time position came open because unfortunately someone had gotten disabled, and as a result, I ended up into that full-time job. So I'm director of the dorm. I also was the director of Hines Hall by then, I think, and it carried me out through that 79 before I became a Massachusetts State Police officer. I had that opportunity.
So what, with your undergrad and grad studies, you know, obviously the criminal, as you said, the criminal justice program really in its infancy at AIC, what was there maybe one course that stands out to you that you took that really, you know, maybe you felt like it was the most important one that you took, or just the most memorable one?
Well, of course, they all were important and memorable, right. But I think just a dealing with the constitutions and the amendments, and dealing with those issues, the search and procedure, those cases, and I dealt with all of that when I came on the state police and as the United States Marshal.
Yeah, I mean, and looking through your resume that you sent me, you know, your time with the state police, 30 years, you retired as a detective lieutenant. I mean, some of the phrases on there. I see, crisis negotiations, terrorism task force, investigations into corruption, extortion, embezzlement, money laundering, human trafficking. I guess this is a really broad question I'm going to ask here, but I certainly don't. And I don't think most people understand what really goes into investigating that sort of thing. So I guess maybe give us an overview of what you actually did. How do you crack a case, in the sorts of things that you had to deal with in your career?
Well, first of all, in terms of responding to those cases, I'll tell you, I had those investigative skills when I first came on the state police. You just don't go into a detective unit right away.
Right.
I spent 3 years out of the Northampton barracks. After I got my master's, of course, I went through the academy, which was a rigorous academy. It's semi-military. A lot of our instructors former military, and of course, a lot of them are former Marines or drill instructors with the Army, and so it was a
bunch of tough cookies.
Tough, and once you persevered and got through that, you were assigned to state police substation, and I was fortunately assigned to. Well, I was fortunately assigned to Northampton. I also worked the Berkshires as guest patrols, but I always found something out there. And so I was doing investigations because I was mainly on the evening shift, and the evening shift is very active because people are working during the days, and like the bad guy said, we're breaking into the houses during the evenings. And so Northampton does cover the towns up there.
Yep.
When we work along with the local police up there, and some of them aren't full-time, or you may have just a full-time chief and a couple full-time police officers. But I enjoy working up in those areas. And so our evening shift, include myself, some of us that showed the desire to really put those cases together, build those cases, you interviewing, interrogating, doing proper crime scene management. And so with all of that, I went into the state police detective unit in the district attorney's office. At that time, they called them crime prevention and control units. And those units, we were the only state police agency in the country that has that, where we are the investigative arm of the district attorney and the attorney general. So I had the opportunity to work with some great district attorneys and attorney generals. One AIC attorney general was one attorney general was Tom Rowley, who was AIC grad, and worked for Tom, ran the Western Mass office, public corruption, organized crime, narcotic investigations, those types of things, building on those cases. But I was the unit commander and a sergeant working in Hamden DA's office. And my last assignment was up in Northwestern District Attorney's office with Betsy Scheibel. And Betsy and I worked along down in Hamden in the early 80s, with Maddie Ryan and other cases. And we had to investigate. In the DA's office, you're responsible for investigating death investigations. Determine, and if it's a murder, we're working the murder with the local police. And so I had a lot of experience in that. A lot of experience out of, because I started up in Northwestern DA's office and then went down to Hamden. So I had a lot of experience when I came to Hamden. And then of course, I stayed in that position in investigations throughout. Usually you get promoted and back to the road. But that was, I was able to stay and had expertise in arson investigation, like I was in football, versatile. If I wasn't, that's one of the things in that wing T offense. You got to block, you got to catch, you got to be able to run, you got to be able to do a lot of different things. And I was versatile. So I was, that's what I did. And was able to, I ran over, I had a lot of opportunities in the Division of Investigations on the state police. So my last several years, if there was a need for me to go somewhere and a leadership position, you know, I would get a call and from the higher ups. And we, and, you know, of course, I was that choice to go and run that group, and so as their leader, and so I was the detective lieutenant in those groups, or unit commanders, and so I also had gangs. One thing. We had a problem out in Western Mass and in Massachusetts back in the late 80s, early 90s. Well, I'll say, yeah, late 80s, early 90s, along the 91 corridor, 95 corridor, some of the national gangs that were popping up. So my leadership, I was asked to take over a group, and the Western Mass Gang Task Force, myself and an FBI agent, that we worked together on a lot of different cases in the past. And we were able to put that group together and go from there. And, you know, hey, we were very successful. And I think also that where, you know, because a lot of the U.S. senators were involved. There was the governor involved. I remember it was, and I think just our effort, our success, and, you know, we just did our work. We did it the right way. And so as a result, I think that's where down the road, when the opportunity came to become the United States Marshal for the District of Massachusetts, the Senator Kennedy gave me the nomination, or sent my nomination or recommendation to President Barack Obama.
What was that like? I mean, you know, you're working for 30 years at this point. You've done unbelievable things, and you get that phone call that you're being nominated to be a U.S. Marshal, and particularly the first Black U.S. Marshal of the state of Massachusetts, and appointed by the country's first Black president. What does all of that mean to you?
Well, it means a lot. It means a lot, and it's special. And I just thought I knew what the job entailed. After 9/11, you had the Patriot Act, and they wanted to professionalize that job, and there was some other things out there, and like I said, my experience in gangs and organized crime, and I was very familiar with the federal system, the federal courts, because I was deputized as a special deputy U.S. Marshal and also as a special federal officer in the FBI. So I had that, I knew about it. And of course, we were working, especially back then, that's one thing. I was, hey, if you're gonna do a job, you got to do it and get it done. So the guys and myself, even the prosecutors, were working 7 days a week for at least 3.5 years when we first started that gang task force, until, try to simmer things down. And so it was just, I knew what it takes, and be a U.S. Marshal, and you got to just get in there, and you got to get your hands. You got to be working with the guys. You got to just be available. You have to be available, and if anybody call me, I'm gonna pick up that phone, and I'm gonna take a leadership, and I'm also gonna make a decision. The decision is not a decision in my favor. It's going to be a decision for the whole. What's good for the Marshal Service, what's good for the country, what's good for the state. And so that's when I thought this was a good opportunity to apply. Each president selects their own U.S. Marshal. It goes back to 1789, George Washington, under the Judiciary Act. It's I have to go through confirmation and Senate confirmation and Senate. I didn't have to. Well, I didn't have to go down physically for a hearing, but you go through all of that. So it was good, a great opportunity to become the U.S. Marshal, and like you said, becoming the first African-American U.S. Marshal, appointed by an African-American, first African-American United States president. And I stayed, I continued, even when President Obama left. I served under, wasn't replaced by President Trump, and wasn't replaced by President Biden, but I decided to step down. But it was good. The Marshal Service is a great service. We go after fugitives. We work along with the state and locals and other federal agencies, FBI, and it's just also just trying to, with my relationships out there, I was able to work along with everyone, and it gets tense sometimes. And one thing is I knew the Obama administration wanted Whitey Bulger brought in, and that's what happened. I joined the effort, where we, and the FBI special agent in charge, Warren Bamford, at that time, Warren and I, Warren was in Boston, and we were talking right from the beginning. Matter of fact, Warren had I think committee, well, of course, my background was down on there, but I think the committee's original committee, Senator Kennedy's committee, reached out to him about me, and and we started talking from the beginning. Warren did go down to Washington D.C. at later, and then I continued with Rick Deloria, and so we were involved in the. Rick signed the guy, I signed the guy, and along with the U.S. Attorney Carmen Ortiz, who was overseeing, working along with us and prosecuting, and I mean, we did what we needed to do to get Whitey brought in. So
that was actually going to be my next question. Is Whitey Bulger, #1 on the FBI's most wanted list. This was a guy who had been on the run for, I think it was 16 years when you finally brought him down.
16 and a half, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess, they've been trying to get him for a while. You come in, and it was, I think, a year and a half after you were appointed U.S. Marshal that you got him. What we could, there's a whole books have been written about this, but maybe what was the one most important thing that you did that allowed you to finally get the guy?
Just working together as a team. That's all. Teamwork. Teamwork. We all ended up working together as a team, and it's. I can't go into a lot of different things, but we
for sure.
We worked together as a team, and that teamwork, like Warren knew, and I, even though we were discussing when I came in at the beginning, I had to deal with some things, I'll just say maybe some red tape or anything, but when you first come in anyway, 120 days, you want to get your office in perspective. You want to get things together. So, you come in and then after, like you said, once we really sat down and started going through different, and I had to, the Marshal Service, I had to sign a memoranda of understanding of our role, and that had to be ironed out between the FBI legal professionals and the Marshal Service legal professionals out of Main Justice, and we just did what we needed to do. So
it's all about taking teamwork. It all goes back to what you were talking about with football, with being versatile and doing those different things.
Right.
It's amazing.
Sacrificing, in football, of course, we sacrifice our bodies, our minds. I mean, we do all those different things, and you prepare yourselves. So
another
and thing, I had some background in this because Tom Foley, who I used to work with in the state police, he was the class behind me, but he rose to the rank of colonel, and Tom Foley put a case together. He was in special services, organized crime, and then I was in special services gangs at that time. So you know what things some of the things that were going on. So we they put together the federal case. So
it's sort of like having a good running back and a good blocking back as well.
Yes.
So one of the things that also stood out to me reading through your resume is how much time you spent as an educator. You taught at local, state, federal academies, colleges. Um, what has it meant to you to have been, to be able to use your experience to educate others and to get other people in a position to be able to be successful in their endeavors?
Well, it means a lot to me. And of course, I did this, might as well say it's teaching, mentoring, whatever it's instructing. And I did this even when I was at AIC, and, I take some underclassmen under my wings and teach them. And so when it's very important. And when I had the opportunity when I went on to state police in uniform, we had several classes, probably 6 or 7 classes after my class. And my class was 79 class. Then you had an 80 class. And so I had the opportunity to do recruitment. They were looking for diversity, inclusion. And they asked me to go out on, especially New Western Mass. And I went throughout the state. I remember before to one of the exams, we were hitting the roads. And so I came to AIC and Westfield State, and I started recruiting. So I remember, I can't think of John's name. John is retired now from the state police, but he says, hey, John was from Holyoke, and John says, hey, I came on the state police because you came in here. We all knew you, and you're a new trooper with your cross straps, your dress uniform, Class A's, and you're on campus at a career day. And I talked about it, and a lot of individuals had, and some individuals I didn't even know were from AIC or they were with local police, but they mentioned it, so.
Recently, to 2019, you completed a doctoral degree in educational leadership. Your dissertation, Administrative Considerations Regarding Effects of Violence Training on College Students.
Yes.
Obviously a deep topic. What inspired you to come back to school after, you graduated with your master's in 1979. So this is, 40 years later, to come back and get a doctoral degree?
Well, what inspired me, first of all, I wanted to always get a doctorate degree, but, of course I had family. I'm married. I had family, my son. I was involved as a detective lieutenant. So, I wanted to get a doctorate or a law degree. And then once we got my son in college and got him almost through school, I think it was, well, of course, I was inspired by, first of all, being invited to do the commencement address too. In 2011, I did the AIC Commencement Address 2011 down at the, we used downtown at the
Mass Mutual Center, I would imagine.
Yeah, Mass Mutual Center.
Yeah.
I called it the Civic Center back then.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was.
Mass Mutual Center, and I ended up doing the commencement address and receiving honorary a doctor of public administration degree. And I told the president, I looked at him on the stage, and I even said to everyone that this is my opportunity to go back to school and get into the doctorate program at AIC, and which I did. And I ended up, and this is, of course, an important topic too. What went on, and it's sad, what went on yesterday down in Texas. But we were doing my studies. I was focusing on school violence.
Yeah.
And the active shooter and school violence, and that's what this dissertation focuses on, but it focuses on the college because I had to narrow it down.
Right.
But this is it's sad, and we were away from because schools were closed and a lot of things were closed during the COVID situation, but things were really on the rise back then.
Yeah.
And, and I hate to see this. This is sad that these things are happening again. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of things that we could talk about in that realm that are going on, issues in law enforcement, these sorts of things. That as you mentioned, the school shooting in Texas. Your 40 plus years of experience as a law enforcement officer, as a U.S. Marshal, I guess. What can we do? What can we do with these situations? What needs to change to stop this? I know that's a really broad question, and I know that no one person has all the answers, obviously, but what's something you see that we can change that maybe is going to stop this from happening?
Well, speaking of my view, this from my view is just that we need to be more sensible on who attain these weapons, these background checks and everything else. Of course, you're just going to have to bear down and make those tough decisions. Decisions on behalf of the people, what the people want. And so that's, this is what I'm saying right now. I have still some restrictions because haven't been away from the job for us that, as the marshal for a while, but just some of my only personal things. You just have to be sensible, and some of these gun laws are more stricter. I think the stricter gun laws.
Yeah, it's hard to. It's some of this, like you said, it's just hard to fathom.
And also, I know in my dissertation and others, someone knows something out there. They know something that's going on. So what they should do is speak up. They know if the individual has an issue or problem, bring it to the attention of the local authorities.
Right, because nobody is just waking up and deciding to do something like, you think about what happened in Buffalo, there's 180-page manifesto. I guess the guy that did that, and that's not something that somebody wakes up in the morning and just decides to do. So certainly I guess getting really deep here at this point, but You look back on a career that you've had over, like we said, over 4 decades. I guess, what's the thing that you're the most proud of that you've managed to accomplish in your career?
Accomplish is the matter of fact to bring along someone else, mentor. My own son and his friends. They've, of course, they were business majors in the beginning, but it's like now he's a state trooper in Delaware.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Working with a DEA task force and the FBI task forces, and he's taking the lead on a lot of stuff. So along with other AIC grad, well, he went to Sacred Heart University. He was a football player down there. And his friends, all couple of his friends, I remember his backfield partner and individual that also was his roommate at one time. He called me up and he says, he's a New York County police officer. He said, you encouraged me, inspired me. And I got a call from one of our retired state police officers who was training him down in New York. And he says, to be a firearms instructor. And he calls me and he says, hey, he put the kid on the phone. He says, hey, this kid, he's Jason. He's doing well down there. And, so it's been good. And also the mentor, come back to AIC. When I was at as the U.S. Marshal, I got them involved in the co-op program for the Marshal Service. It was under the Obama administration. He had a co-op program so that we could have some diversity and inclusion. And Sarah Calgreen is base softball player participating. And Tom Fitzgerald, the criminal justice, he was the chair of the criminal justice program, former chief of police of Springfield PD. He participated in the program. You had to go through a lot of criteria, and AIC campus met that criteria. So Sarah and another individual went through the program, and Sarah is now Deputy U.S. Marshal out of Connecticut.
Yeah, Sarah is actually somebody that she graduated from AIC 2 years after I did, and I get to cover her softball career. So actually, it was a very good friend of mine too. So I'm glad you brought her up, and I should have. I'm looking at my list of questions and kicking myself for not including her in it. But I guess her in particular, what does it mean to you to have helped another student athlete specifically at AIC become a U.S. Marshal and go into that path?
It was good. Great. Same like I did with the state troopers. And there are some that are former DEA agents, just giving them that opportunity. Tell them this is what's out there. This is how you go at it. And that's what I said with my son. I mean, you got to prepare yourself. Not only in terms of education, but your integrity, that's important. Not being involved in any drugs or any substance abuse. All those different things. So you sit down with them And I've been working with several of the football players, athletes. I won't say just football, but I know there's some that are out there now that are looking, that's currently on the team that wants to become a federal officer, marshal, deputy U.S. marshal. And, the deputy, that's the professional route, the deputy United States Marshal. So
makes sense. Last question. What did it mean to you to get that phone call telling you were going into the AIC Athletics Hall of Fame?
Mixed feelings. It's an honor. Of course, I said I don't really deserve it, but but no, it's an honor, and I really appreciate it, and it was exciting, and it was good. I'll just say, there's dealing with some medical issues, and that was a pick-me-up for that day.
Well, I'm certainly glad it put a smile on your face. Definitely, I think definitely deserved, not only for what you did on the field, but everything that you've done since for AIC, for Massachusetts, for the country. It's unbelievable. Marshal Gibbons, I want to thank you for taking the time with us today. Obviously, we had a lot of ground to cover, and really incredible to get to learn more about you and everything that you've done. So thank you, and congratulations on another achievement, another feather in a cap that, is probably got enough feathers at this point to make a whole bird.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. And I look forward. I think what's the induction date?
This October 21, I believe is the date.
Friday. Yeah. So
yep.
I appreciate it.
Looking forward to seeing you this October. Once again, folks, this is John Gibbons, U.S. Marshal, Detective Lieutenant, Doctor, and AIC Athletics Hall of Famer. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Yellow Jacket Experience, and keep your eyes peeled for more of them throughout the summer.